Okay. So in our last class, we are discussing safety factor in the design. So do you have any question related to that?
No, sir.
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay. So let us discuss one problem with factor of safety. Say for example, suppose you have one circular rod. Say a circular rod is subjected to uh, tensile load of say 60 kilonewton. Calculate the diameter of the rod taking a factor of safety of say 2, use say plain carbon steel as the material. Say yield point strength is 340 MPa. So this problem is very simple. So here you have to first calculate, since sigma white is given, yield point strength is given as 340 MPa or 340 Newton per millimeter square. So sigma T, we call it the tensile stress allowable, should be how much? 340 MPa divided by factor of safety of 2, that is 170 MPa. Also you can, right? Now, since it is basically tensile load, so your sigma T value should be equal to P divided by A, where P is basically 60 kilonewton, that is Newton divided by area, that should be pi by 4
D
whole
square.
square. Yes, sigma T value is known to us, that is 170 Newton per millimeter square. So from this equation, you may calculate this thing. So this is very simple. Another problem may be like this. Shaft, say 50 millimeter dia is subjected to torsional moment of say 100 Newton meter. The shaft material is say plain carbon steel. Material is plain carbon steel having say sigma YT as say 340 MPa, same value. Calculate factor of safety of the design. Now you see here, with this information, we cannot make the design of the component. Why? You see, shaft material is there, plain carbon steel, but here yield point strength is there, sigma YT. But here you see the material will undergo some, or material will, in the material shear stress will be developed, not the tensile stress, right? So since we the material will undergo plus shear stress, then it is not possible to calculate the dimension from this. So we should have the information strength when we are discussing the strength. For For the first problem, yes, we have the strength value. We may compare that, and from there we may calculate the dimension. For the second problem, you see, with this information we cannot make the design. We should have another information. What should be the strength in shear at the point of yielding? That information should be available to me. Otherwise, it is not possible to calculate the dimension or factor of safety there.
Yes.
So generally, there are two types of problems. One is you need to calculate the factor of safety available in the design. Another maybe all other things are given to you with factor of safety, but you need to calculate the dimension of the component. But you have to see whether you have the sufficient data to calculate the dimension or factor of safety from that problem. So with this problem, if I provide this thing, it is not possible to calculate it. So we should have the information of this sigma sy, that is basically yield point shear. So shear stress at yield point. Is it clear? So what should be the value of this thing? Right now I can give you the value, but later on also when we will discuss the failure theories, at that point you will be able to calculate the yield point shear stress. So sigma sy, basically yield point shear stress, will be half of this. So later on we will discuss this thing in detail when we discuss the failure theories. So here in place of this sigma yt, yield point stress, we should replace this thing with having sigma sy as 170 Newton per millimeter square. Now, if this information is available to you, I think you may calculate this thing. Now, is it possible to calculate this thing? The factor of safety? How is it possible?
Yes sir, FOS এ ক্যালকুলেট করতে
allowable
পারবো।
shear stress টা বার করে নিয়ে
allowable এর সাথে ওটাকে তো ইয়ে করে দেবো আমরা, ডিভাইড করে দেবো।
No, that is not basically the allowable stress. That is basically the developed stress.
Okay.
Yes.
That is
Table.
basically the developed stress. The load is applied to the member. The load is applied to the component. In the component, the stresses are developed. Those stresses are called developed stresses. So here we need to calculate the developed stresses. So you know the equation, that is tau is equal to T into R by J. And for solid shaft, you may calculate polar moment of inertia from there. And if you put it, then tau will be 16T by pi d cube. And from here, you may calculate this tau value or sigma s. Sometimes we also put sigma s like this. That is basically the allowable stress. Sometimes we call it developed stress, or also we call it induced
stress.
Induced stress.
Okay,
The stress developed there or induced in the member. So from here you have to calculate that thing. 16 into T means here 100 Newton meter. So in Newton millimeter, I will put the value here. Pi into d cube means 50 cube. So that should be the value Newton per millimeter square. Do not forget to put the units here. Always you should put the units. Otherwise marks will be deducted in the semester examination or in the class test. So always we should put the proper unit there. So if you can calculate the sigma s, then factor of safety should be sigma sy by sigma x or tau. That should be the value of factor of safety. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Is there any problem?
No, sir.
স্যার ওই সিগমা ওয়াইটিটা মানে তাহলে কি ছিল ওটা যেটা আমরা রিপ্লেস করলাম
No.
মানে
Yes. Sigma yt, I can put the sigma yt value here, but here to calculate or design the component, you should have the strength in shear, not in tension. This sigma yt, you are getting this yield point strength or yield point stress based on tensile test, standard tension test. So that strength is basically based on the tensile loading. But when we are changing the loading, at that point you need to consider the appropriate strength so that you can make the design of that component. So here the appropriate strength is not this one. Using this you cannot make the design of this component when the component is subjected to torsional moment. Say for example, the material, the component is subject to fluctuating loading. Then also this data, yield point strength or yield point in shear or tension, compression, these data are not sufficient. What you have to consider at that point when the loading is fluctuating in nature, at that time you need to consider the endurance limit of the component. So when you discuss the strength component, probably you have seen in the presentation, strength is already there. But when we are considering the strength in the design, we should know how the component is loaded. Then only you have to consider that strength, you may make the design of this component. Is it clear? Okay, take the third problem then. Then I think your idea will be more clear. For example, you have one plate. Okay, the plate is subjected to say this is thickness, this is the width. So one particular type of plate made of say cast iron, we put it like CIFG say 260. Probably in your machine drawing class, you have seen this type of material, CIFG 260, CIFG 220, like this. Now, the material is cast iron with FG 260. Later on, we will learn what is FG, what is CI in detail. But right now, I can say this 260, this number is called tensile strength of the component. So if the material is written like this, CIFG 260, CIFG 220, the numbers provided here are basically the tensile strength of the material, minimum tensile strength, more specifically, minimum tensile strength of the component, of the material. So from here, we may get this value sigma ut or tensile strength of the material. Now, this material is subjected to say tensile load, and your load is say 80 kilonewton. Okay. Now, W and T, say for example, W is your 20 millimeter, T is say 8 millimeter. Then, what is the factor of safety available with this design? So P should be how much? Sigma into area, the stress. If the load is subject or load, the nature of the load is a tensile loading, so we will consider this thing. So sigma is basically how much? Sigma ut divided by factor of safety. That is sigma ut by factor of safety. And area is basically how much? 8 into 20. And P is basically 80 into 10 cube. Here sigma ut basically 260. So if I put the values here, you can calculate 260 into 8 into 20 by. Okay. Now you may calculate this thing. Suppose 260, 8 into 20 divided by 80.
So sigma ut will
Now
be that
P.
maximum one না? The factor of safety is equal to
Yes,
the
I'm
maximum.
coming. I'm coming. Yes, 1 minute. Your value is coming 0.52. If my calculation is okay, the value is coming as 0.52. Are you getting the same value? I'm coming to your point. Now, why we are using here tensile strength? Why not yield strength? Probably your question was there. Why we are considering the maximum stress here? Since the material is brittle,
Yes.
this material is brittle, this point is your tensile strength. Okay, this value is basically sigma ut.
Yes.
We need to consider that value only because we have to know this material aspect. This material is basically brittle material.
This is the
Now
maximum
you
stress
see,
allowed.
that is the value here, the tensile strength. But we are not considering the tensile strength. We are using one factor of safety here. That is basically the allowable stress. That sigma, what I am using here in this equation, say allowable tensile stress, that is basically sigma ut by factor of safety.
Yes.
Yes.
That value only I have used here in this equation. Is there any problem now?
না স্যার ওই আপনি একটু মানে কিছুক্ষণ আগে বললেন যে সিগমা ইউটিটা অ্যাকচুয়ালি মিনিমাম
হ্যাঁ, হ্যাঁ,
ভ্যালুটা আর
হ্যাঁ,
কি
Yeah,
তাই আর কি
minimum
কম।
value. Yes. Minimum value. Yes. I got your point. When we are when we are going for designation of the material, this is a material designation procedure. Here, there are some groups of materials. They are classified as CIFG 260. For those materials, the minimum tensile strength available in the material is 260 MPa. Understand my point?
বলার মানে
When you are
টার্মিনোলজি
স্যার
considering,
আরেকবার বলবেন?
we'll discuss this topic in detail when we discuss the material part. But in CIFG, CI classification, CIFG say 220, all other things. Here, there are group of materials, cast iron, there are varieties of cast iron. Okay. Now, those cast irons having a minimum tensile strength of 260 MPa will be classified as CIFG 260. That means if I take some materials of say CIFG 260 grade, we call it grade, then you should get a minimum tensile strength of 260 MPa. Understand? Your tensile strength should not be less than 260 MPa there in those materials. Are you getting my point? But when
Yes,
you are
sir.
taking that material in our design calculation, so that is my tensile strength value. Using the tensile strength value, I have to apply the concept of factor of safety to get the allowable stress or design stress or working stress. Now the point is clear to you.
স্যার আমি জিরো থেকে লোডটা বাড়াতে বাড়াতে যাব, মানে যেই পয়েন্টটি ইল্ড করবে সেটাই তো মানে অ্যালোয়েবল স্ট্রেস, তো সেটাই তো ম্যাক্সিমাম স্ট্রেস।
No. That is
Acha,
the
acha.
maximum. This is a maximum. Here it is called sigma u tensile strength. And if I suppose I am taking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 materials. Okay. For first material, if I get say sigma ut say 260 MPa. Okay. For the second material, suppose I am getting 260. For third material, suppose I am getting say 261.5 MPa. Okay. For fourth material, suppose I am getting 250 MPa. For fifth material, suppose I am getting 225 MPa. Understand? Now, these three materials, 1, 2, 3, will be taken as CIFG 260. Understand my point?
আচ্ছা আচ্ছা আচ্ছা।
For 4 and 5 number materials, these are not CIFG 260. So for the designation purposes of this cast iron material, we use these terminologies for the designation purpose. But when we are trying to do the design using that material, that 260 will be taken as the tensile strength, or if I use CIFG 220, then 220 should be taken as the tensile strength of the material. Now the point is clear to you.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now coming to this problem, you see, if I apply 80 kilonewton force to the component with this cross section, you see factor of safety is 0.52. That means there is no safety in the material. The material has already reached its failure point.
Yes, sir.
Understand? Now, if I ask you to find the maximum load allowable, or what is the maximum load we can apply to this material, to this cross section, can you find that thing?
স্যার ফ্যাক্টর অফ সেফটিটা 1 করে দেবো, তাহলে ম্যাক্সিমাম লোডটা
হ্যাঁ মানে ফ্যাক্টর অফ
পেতে পারি।
সেফটি তো
Yes. Also, if I ask you, if the factor of safety is 3 or a factor of safety is 4, what is the maximum load can be applied to the material? Can you find that load?
yes sir, yes sir, অসুবিধা
Yes,
হবে না।
sir.
ইয়েস স্যার।
Okay. So I think the concept of factor of safety is clear now.
Yes.
Is there any
Yes, sir.
confusion? How to use the factor of safety in our design?
নো স্যার।
How can I calculate the factor of safety?
Yes,
If the
sir,
factor
yes,
of
sir,
safety
clear.
given to you, then you have to find the dimension. If the dimensions are given to you, then you have to find the factor of safety. That's all.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now the second point we'll discuss now. So safety was our first point. Then second point we'll consider use of standards and codes. Okay, use of standards and codes. Now when you are coming to standards and codes, what is standard, what is code? Standard is basically set of specification. Set of specification for what? A set of specification for parts, materials and processes. Why it is used? Why the standards are used? To achieve uniformity, efficiency and specified quality. You may remember in your machine drawing class, already you used different standards. First of all, when we are making some engineering drawing, we follow some standard. In India, we follow Bureau of Indian Standard.
Yes sir, yes sir,
SP 46, say 1998. So this is the standard. Why we use the standards? Because there are some rules, some regulations we have to follow so that everybody can understand that thing. All the things are standardized. Also, when you have made, say, a bolted joint, we have used a metric thread. We put, say, M20 thread. And for this metric thread, all the dimensions are standardized. Also, you know, if from a design calculation, say for example, your dimensions coming at say 16.5 millimeter, 19.5 millimeter, 22.1, then for the bolt, we do not use these dimensions, these calculated dimensions. What we do? Always we try to select one standard value, standard dimension. And by choosing the standard dimension, we can reduce the cost of the product also. Because these products are also readily available in the market. If you try to stick your dimension to 22.1, you have to customize your products. You have to make tailor-made products for your use only. These dimensions are not the standard dimensions. If you try to purchase the product from the market, this 22.1 dimension product is not available. So you have to go next higher standard value to standardize your product. So always in our design, we try to standardize the products, try to standardize the process, all the things we try to standardize. So standard is basically a set of specification for parts, materials, and processes to achieve uniformity. Number one. Number two, efficiency. Number three, quality. Now you see there are different standards. The standards may be restricted to a specific company. So local standard is there. For a particular company, particular organization, there are some standards. There may be some national standards, just like our Indian standard, Bureau of Indian Standard. Also, there are some international standards, like ISO. You may notice in different organizations, different shops, you will find ISO certified company, ISO certified organization, ISO 9001 certified, ISO 9001 2008 certified
Yes,
company. So you may notice, but what is that? That is basically standardization of the things. It may be for a product, it may be for one organization. So there are some rules, regulations written for the specific standard, say ISO 9001. So if you can follow those rules, if you can follow the standards or regulations, then only you may get the certificate. And that certificate, how will you use that certificate? For the marketing purpose, you can use that thing. Also, when I will see, yes, that organization is ISO certified organization. Yes, I have the faith, yes, some standards they will follow. We may get the good quality products or something is there. So we always will try to use that thing. So always we have to go for the standardization of the things. So the definition of standard is clear to you. Is there any
Yes.
difficulty to understand that thing? Now,
No,
compared
sir.
to standard, code is applicable to processes, analysis like this. So what is code? Code is basically a set of specifications, again, but for the analysis, for the design, for the manufacture, and for construction of something. We use code. In our design class also, we will use code. We have one design problem. When we will go for shaft design, for shaft design, we can design the shaft based on strength. You already know what is strength. Also, we may design the shaft based on stiffness, both lateral and torsional. And also, we can design the shaft based on a code. We follow here ASME code. What is ASME? American Society for American Society of Mechanical Engineers. They specify some rules how to make the design. And why we use this thing? What is the purpose of code? To achieve the specified degree of safety. That is the first concern. Safety is the main concern. The specified degree of safety, efficiency, performance, or quality. So these are the issues we try to address when we follow any code. So as per ASME code, already you know how to calculate the factor of safety in the design. So as per say ASME code, briefly I am telling here ASME code for shaft design. Here basically sigma S allowable shear stress can be calculated directly using the code written by ASME. That may be say like this 30% off UT, whichever is minimum. What does it mean? Here you see, factor of safety is not required to calculate the allowable shear stress. In our earlier problems, always we have used one factor of safety to calculate the allowable stress. But here, directly, we can calculate the allowable shear stress using ASME code. When we are using this ASME code, already the safety concern is there. Also, the efficiency of the product is also ensured. Quality of the product is also ensured. So there are codes, there are standards. Those should be used when we are trying to make any design. So there are different organizations. They make different standards and codes. Like in India, BIS, Bureau of Indian Standard. For boiler in India, Indian boiler regulations. Like say ANSI, that is called American National Standard Institute. They also make the standards. ASME also, you know, American Society of Mechanical Engineers. When we do some test in our laboratory, say we try to follow ASTM, well accepted standard, ASTM standard for tension test, for other say tribological test, or for different testing, we also follow some standards. ASTM standard generally we follow here. That is called American Society of Testing Materials. Just like say AISI, American Iron and Steel Institute. ISO, you also know, International Standard Organization. Also, you may notice in different gadgets, this marking, C marking also there. That is called Conformity Européenne. If you try to sell your product in the European countries, the C marking, C stamp, they call it stamping. C stamping is required. Without that C stamping, you cannot sell any product in the European countries. So these are the things you have to use the standards and codes. So there are standards for different things. Now, what is the benefit of using these standards or standardization of the product? So main target will be to achieve the uniformity. Secondly, efficiency of the product and quality of the product. By doing these also, you may reduce the cost of the product. As I already discussed, we can reduce the cost. Also, you see another thing. You have seen different mobile chargers. The socket there, is there any many different variations are there? No, only 2-3 variations are there. Probably I have seen 2 variations. I do not know is there any other variation or not, but 2 variations I have seen. So why they are using or they are making this type of mobile charger only? Because interchangeability is also required. In your design, if you can interchange the dimension, interchange the product. Suppose you have 5 products from your company, and there may be nuts, bolts, all other things, small parts. If these parts are interchangeable, then it will be good for you. Easily you can use one product with another component. So always it is advised to make interchangeability of the product. So interchangeability is also one good parameter when you are making one component, one design. Also, reliability and quality of the products can be improved when you are trying to standardize the things. Is it clear to you?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. One thing I should mention, that is I am taking the class from university. So sometimes in the university the net is not very stable. So sometimes I may not be there in the meeting. So in that case, if you see that I am not there in the meeting, please call me in my mobile phone, because right now I cannot check whether I am there or not. I am using that presentation mode, so I cannot see that thing. I cannot check that thing. Okay.
Okay,
So if you
okay,
face
sir.
that thing, please call me. Okay. Now the thing is, already I have mentioned that CIFG 260. Sorry. CIFG 260. That is also one standardization of the things, standardization of the material. There are different grades of cast iron, say CIFG or 150. That is called basically cast iron. In material part, again we will discuss this thing. This is called free graphite. So CIFG 260, similar to the CIFG, say 150, 200, 220, 260, 300, 350, and 400. These are the different grades of cast iron. Okay, so this way also you will find M20 metric thread. For the thread also the things are standardized, say M12, M14, M16, M18, like this you will get the things. So in many products already we have used different standards to standardize the things, and keeping in mind that this will help in our design process, keeping in mind that this will reduce the final cost of the product, keeping in mind that it may help to introduce the interchangeability of the products. So all the things can be achieved if we go for standardization of the things. It is clear to you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Third point, we call it cost. Cost of the product. That is very important. And our target will be to make the product, to make the final product with minimum cost, because our target will be to sell the product in the market. Suppose all other specifications or parameters are identical, but you are getting a cheaper component or cheaper product, then always you will go for the cheaper one. As a buyer, always he or she will try to procure that thing. Now, how to regulate or how to control the final cost of the product? Is there any mechanism? Is there any tool to control the cost of the product? Yes, there are different tools which can be used to control the things. So first point is standardization or use of standard sizes. Already we have discussed this thing. Standard sizes. So always, whenever possible, we have to use the standard size. That does not mean if your design does not permit to change the dimension, if your design does not permit to change the calculated dimension, you may go for the standard one. There are some specific applications or specific uses of the products where you cannot change the dimension. But whenever you have the freedom, whenever you have some scopes that you may go for the standard one, always you should go for the standard dimension. That means in your design class also, say for example, you are trying to calculate the rod diameter, you are trying to calculate the shaft diameter or bolt diameter, always you should select the standard dimensions. You'll get the calculated dimension. Yes, the bolt diameter set 15.5 millimeter. Next line should be the standard bolt diameter is 16 millimeter. Say for example, your shaft diameter is coming at 38.6 millimeter. That is calculated shaft diameter. Next line you should write the standard shaft diameter is 40 millimeter. So that should be used for further design calculation always. So always you should use the standard size. And by doing this, you may reduce it. You may reduce the cost of the final cost of the product. Secondly, you have to consider another thing that is called large tolerance. How much you may tolerate with the dimension. Say for example, you have one hole. There is one, say, rod. Okay. Now here you see, say for example, this dimension, the shaft diameter is say 50 millimeter. Accordingly, your hole diameter should be 50 millimeter. Then how is it possible to accommodate the shaft inside the hole? So shaft dia 50 millimeter. Hole dia also 50 millimeter. Now how to accommodate the shaft inside the hole? Then there we introduce the term tolerance. Also it is called, we will define later on, fits and tolerance. So there are three types of fits. Later on we will learn what is fits, what is called clearance fit, where always there should be a clearance in the dimension. But with this 50-50 dimension, you cannot incorporate that thing. So here when we try to use a dimension for the manufacturing drawing and this engineering drawing and manufacturing drawing, there is a difference. The thing you have learned or you have made in your last machine drawing, that is basically for you only. But if you try to produce the products, if you try to manufacture the products, you need to do some extra. There you have to put the tolerance also. Tolerance means what should be the accepted range of your dimensions. So it is not possible to make exact 50 millimeter. It may be 50.005, 50.006. So what is the accepted range of dimensions? So always here we put some tolerance. Here maybe say 0.002. That means your shaft diameter cannot exceed 50 millimeter dimension. It should be always lower than that, and lower value is 50 minus 0.002. So inside this range, you have to make the component, you have to make the shaft. Then only the engineer, quality engineer will accept the product. If your dimension of the shaft exceeds 50 millimeter, say for example 50.002, then he will reject the product. Now, you also will agree with me that if this range or tolerance is very tight, very small, then the rejection rate of the component, rejection rate of the product will be high. Also, to manufacture the product, to make the component with a tight schedule or tight tolerance, tight gap, it will be very difficult. You have to give some extra time. You have to give some sophisticated instrument. You have to provide, say, skilled labor. Then only it is possible to manufacture the component with tight tolerance. Otherwise, it will be difficult. And when you will incorporate those things, skilled labor, your sophisticated instrument, and more time, the manufacturing
Cost
cost
will
will
increase.
increase.
Yes,
So
yes.
always our target will be to provide large tolerance, but always it is not possible because there are some restrictions or constraints from the designer. Because when we are trying to use, say for example, we will use a bolted joint to join two components, two or say more components, then there is no, I think, no problem to use large tolerance. But say for example, that thing we are using for say shaft coupling. You know what is shaft coupling? In the shaft coupling, you have to incorporate say shaft with the hub. Then you cannot provide large tolerance there. You have to understand the thing. Also say for example in bearing, you have one bearing. What is the bearing? Bearing will bear the load. So when you try to support one shaft, we use bearings. So in the bearing also, you have to use the specified tolerance level. You cannot go for higher tolerance there. So without hampering the function of the product, without hampering the normal function of the product, if it is possible to increase the tolerance level, then always you should go for large tolerance, and that will control the final cost of the product. So here for the whole say, we can put like this. If it is accepted by the designer, then only, if it is accepted, considering the proper functioning of the component, then only it is okay. So for the whole, your dimension should be 0.95 to 50.05. So
Yes, sir.
inside this, we have to make the component. Then only this hub or this component will be accepted. Otherwise, it will. If I can go for say 50 into plus minus say 0.1, then your tolerance level is increasing. So this way you may control the cost of the product. Another thing, say for example, I have to make the rod, a cylindrical rod or circular rod. Say for example, in our workshop, there are two machines. There will be two or more machines using which we can manufacture that thing. We can machine the component. So say for example, we have to machine this rod. We have two processes. Say number one, turning. Number two, say grinding. What is turning? In turning, basically we use lathe, and in the lathe there should be one pointed tool touching this object or this workpiece, and this workpiece will rotate. Also, this cutting tool will move along this parallel to the axis of the job. And by doing this, the material will be removed. If I provide the depth of cut, the material will be removed from the job. What is grinding? There should be one abrasive wheel, and abrasive wheel will be in touch or in contact with this workpiece. Abrasive wheel also rotate. At the same time, this workpiece also rotate, and due to this contact, material will be removed from this workpiece. So, say for example, there are two methods or two processes you have available in your workshop. Now, say for example, you have to manufacture 20 components. Now, which process should be used? Now, the thing is, for the selection of the processes, there are different parameters, those should be considered. One is surface finish of the product. After doing the machining, you will get the surface. What is the surface quality of the product? And proper functioning of the component, surface quality or surface finish is one important parameter. Right?
Yes, sir.
Now the thing is,
Yes,
say
sir.
for example, the surface quality which we are getting from turning operation and grinding operation are accepted by the designer. Then only we can consider or we can compare which process should be selected. If from the designer's point of view, after doing the turning operation, that product is not accepted for final assembly, then we should go for grinding. But if this is the condition that after doing the turning or grinding operation, the products we are getting, those are accepted by the designer, then only we can compare this thing. Now what we will do here, from the past data, we'll try to make one graph. Here we'll put number of products we require, and here we'll put the cost. And for say turning operation, initial cost is say this one, and for say grinding operation, the initial cost is high, but later on the curve is like this. So here we'll find this point. Say this point is N1. Now we have to see these 20 components, we'll get this value N1 value. If 20 is coming here, say at this point, say for example, then always we should go for this turning operation. Say this is grinding and this is turning. Right? Now always we should go for turning operation if your point is coming here. So this point is called break even point, BEP. By doing this also, you may estimate the cost. Beforehand, you know by which material or which process we should go to minimize the cost. So you may control the final cost of the product. This part is clear to you.
Sir, বিটটা বলবেন?
Yes. Say for example, there are two processes. As I said, turning process and grinding processes, you can do the machining of the component to get the final product. Now, which process you will use to manufacture the component? There, from the past data, you should have the data. Otherwise, it is not possible to make this type of graph. So, from the past data, you may draw one graph where you can plot with cost with number of products. Now, here what we will do, in this graph, we will try to plot. Say for example, for my case, we have got the turning operation graph like this, the blue one, and grinding operation graph as red one. So these two graphs are intersecting at this point. So this is the break-even point. For N1 number of products, if I use turning or grinding any one, you will get the same cost. So that is called a break-even point. But beyond this N1, say N1 value from the physical data, it is coming at say 100. So when we are doing 100 number of pieces of this rod, then we may use any process. But when we are going for say 150 pieces, for 150 pieces, suppose this is the point, so we should go grinding operation, or we should choose grinding operation, because grinding operation will provide you minimum cost compared to turning. Now the point is clear to you?
স্যার তাহলে যদি আমি 50টা প্রোডাক্ট করতে চাই তাহলে তো আমি সেই টার্নিং প্রসেস আমরা বেছে নেব।
Yes, yes. But the thing is, initially I made one comment. Designer should accept the surface finish, all other things, the product made by the turning operation. Then only we may compare that thing. Later on, when we will discuss the manufacturing aspects in design, at that point we will discuss different points at the design stage should be considered, considering the manufacturing of the product. Because depending on the manufacturing processes also, some properties may change, some mechanical properties may change, some tribological properties may change. So there are different properties, those should be considered at the design stage. And depending on the process, manufacturing process, you may get different parameters or different process, characteristics of the product. Understand? So this is very simple thing. You have two available machines. Which machine should be used? Whether we should go for a turning operation or grinding operation. If you have the previous data, then only you may make one comment on that. Yes, to minimize the cost, if my number of products is less than 100, say for example, we should go for turning. If it is greater than 100, we should go for grinding.
Okay,
Is
sir.
it clear to you?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Now you follow the presentation. In our next class, we may start with the strength and other design parameters or fundamental design consideration. We'll continue from this. So if you have any problem, any question, please ask me. In our next class, we will continue from here.
স্যার এই ইন্টারচেঞ্জেবিলিটিটা আরেকবার বোঝাতে পারবেন?
Yes. 1 minute. So what is interchangeability? Say for example, you have shaft coupling. Okay. Also
Okay.
you have say stuffing box.
Okay.
Also in stuffing box you have to start. No. Suppose you have one component where you may use start. Also in the stuffing box you can use start. Now say for example, if I can use the same product in these two machine members, then it will be good for me. So inventory
Yes.
for these two products will be same. Easily
Yes.
from one inventory we can manage these two products. So that is basically interchangeability. Similar to that, say for example, I have given one example like say mobile charger. Suppose you have one smartphone, I have also another smartphone. If the charger of these two smartphones are same type, or using one charger, if we can charge these two devices, then it will be good for me. If one charger is not working, with the another one, I can charge my mobile phone. That is called interchangeability. Easily we can interchange the product with another one. Say for battery for mobile phone, though it is not there, if it is possible to interchange the batteries of the products, then it's good for me.
Yes.
Always for say, for many devices, you will find different examples for this. You will find the interchangeability. If it is possible to interchange with other products, then it will be good for me. It will good for the buyer. It will good for the designer. It will good for the manufacturer also.
Yes.
Understand? So that is called interchangeability of the product. Any
Okay,
other
sir.
question?
No, sir.
Okay. So next class will be held on Thursday, I think, from 2:30, right? Thursday 2:30 or 1 p.m. 1 to 2. Okay, no problem.
1 to 2.
Okay,
1 to 2.
Thursday 1 to 2 we'll take the class.
Okay, sir.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank
so
you,
much,
sir.
Thank you,
Yes.
sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
If you have any question, please stay back. Otherwise, you may disconnect.
Okay, sir.
Okay,
Thank
sir.
you, sir.
Okay, sir.